Uh, I'm Professor Robert Zimmer. Some of you will recognize me from the Maths module. I'm here as a sort of guest lecturer, just doing one topic on this module. The topic I'm going to do is about visualizing two-dimensional data. I think you've already done quite a lot of one-dimensional data. And we're just going to take two-dimensional data. We can have two kinds of data at the same time and how they relate to each other, really. We can do this with various kinds of data, and that's what we'll do in this topic. I'm quite excited by this. It's very different from my usual teaching. My usual teaching is rather mathematical. So let's, without any further delay, let's move on. This is the first lecture, and as I said before, the lectures are about multivariate visualization, and they're sort of built out of different videos are going to be about different kinds of data. Here we're looking at categorical data, and just to remind you what I just said, with the univariate case, which is I think what you've done quite a lot of, you had the one variable, you did some descriptive statistics, and you did some visualizations of that. Here we've got more than one variable, and we're going to look at how they relate to each other. So we're going to look at how not just the data of each individually, but how the data interact. And they will see that in the case with the categorical will be some of that, but where it gets really more telling in a way is when we get to numerical data, when we can talk about real correlations. But we've got a while to go before we get there. And now we're going to start. So here we've got a data set, or this is not the data set. The data set itself is the results of a survey where various people were asked for their favorite media outlet, social media, and also their gender. So we know two kinds of information for everybody who answered, which except for the one person preferred not to say, and that is we know that their preferred gender and we know their preferred social media. So when I say preferred gender, the way they describe themselves, not preferred gender to do anything else with. So that's the way we deal with this is we kind of have different kinds of data that would be put together in a kind of table like this, and this is called cross tabulation, which means that we've got sort of crossing the two kinds of data. So if we look at that upper left-hand corner, or at least the upper left-hand number, which is an 11, that says that we've got 11 people who identify as female who put Facebook down as their preferred social media. Okay, so, and it's clear what they all are, and that's not what the raw data looks like. The raw data looks like about 100-ish, maybe I think it is 100, rows with which has an ID, a gender, and a preferred social media. And we're going to turn that into this table. We'll see how to do that using Python, using Pandas, in fact, in a minute. But first, here's one way of looking at part of this data. Here I've got 5 random lines from the data, and what I've done is I've made a data frame, and I've used Pandas, that's what the PD is saying, to read a CSV file, and it says the name of the file there is the socialmedia.csv, and it even says where it is. The index columns equals 0 means that the special index, which is the way to talk about the particular rows, the column for that is the 0th column. If we didn't put that in, what would happen is that the system would put in its own index column. So this is telling us we want it to be one of our columns. Which column it is the 0th column. Remember, computer scientists count from 0. So then when I say the columns are, and that's what the usecalls is doing, the 0th one is ID. So that's what the index is going to be. And the ID, gender, and preferred service are down, you can see on the table. Those are the 3 columns. And besides that, it's just saying what the data types are. And then the last bit says, take this sample of 5 of them and sort them by ID, which is why we've got them sorted by 9, 23, 25, etc. in order. If we didn't do that, then they might they'd be random. They wouldn't be in order at all. So that sort tells us to put them in that order. So that's the whole Pandas code here, the whole Python code for doing this. Okay, now here's the cross tabulation. These are also called contingency tables. This is a cross tabulation of the that we saw in the beginning. And look how simple the code is. It's one line. It's saying we want to cross tab and the preferred service against gender. And all of this just follows. Okay. Remember, as I said, there's a lot of work going on, to get those numbers. We haven't told them that there's 11 females who chose Facebook. What we have done is given them a table, given the code, the Python code, then looked through it and counted up the number of places that are both female in the gender and Facebook in the preferred service, and that's where that 11 comes from, etc. Right. Now this is slightly different. This is put in, it's a column where, I don't know if you can see that directly, a column and a row both that sum up all the other rows or all the other columns. And to do that, the only change we have to do with the code is we have to say margins equal true, because that's called the margins. Okay. So that's all there is to that. Now that we have our first actual chart, it's called a grouped bar chart. And we've got, notice the color coding here, where we've got females blue, males orange, non-binary green. We've lost the prefer not to say, and we'll see how we did that. So that's what this looks like, and we've got labels at the side and labels at the top. How long the bars are represents those numbers we saw in the boxes. So that we were looking at Facebook female as 11 before. That's this line here. This blue goes across 11. Whoops. And that's Facebook, and blue is female. So it's the same information laid out visually. The blue tells us it's the female, the length tells us how the 11, and the Facebook, and from the label tells us the Facebook. So it's the same information laid out in this way. So how do we get the program to print this out? How do we do this? Well, first of all, as I say, I've thrown away the prefer not to say. Then I generate a cross tabulation as I've done before. So I have to set, even though I'm not seeing the table, I'm not writing the table, I have to generate the table, which I do exactly as I did before, with the margins equals true at the end there. The margins equal true tells me to put in those alls. Now, you might then wonder, well, hold on. The next thing I'm doing is removing those alls. Why did I put in those alls to remove those alls? The reason is I then I sort value using all. Even though I'm not going to use the all at all in the output, I need the all inside it to be able to do the sorting. So I sort by all. So I needed the all. So I needed the margins equals true. I hope that makes sense. Then below all of that, we've got the table.plot horizontal bar. That's what